It's still very scary, isn't it? It's actually, funny enough, we're only friends at conventions because I can pull it apart. I think the Wookiee can go a bit dotty. So, Pete, when did we first meet?
A long time ago in the garage.
And you were on the good side or the bad side?
I'm the good guy.
You sure?
I got paid, so I'm not really good guy.
I can understand.
I think we first was in either a wine store or a convenience store.
Yeah, near where I live, there's a cooperative thing, pseudo-market and things like that. And you could see, I said, that's Peter Mayhew. Above the shelves, there was only one head going around like this. And I said, it is, it's Peter. So I went up and I said, how are you? And little did I know, a few weeks later, I was being cast as Boba Fett.
Yeah. Looked along. Fancy your pop, good bottle of wine. And I saw this grey head, or very light, sandy hair. I went, I know you. Hello, Jim.
Yeah, did it? Yeah, we
You know,
made friends. So
we became friends, and all this time, you know, with Kenny and some of the other guys, we just had fun.
yeah. Hard work and fun.
Oh,
Well, we'll
great.
hand over to this brilliant speaker here. We got him from Japan this morning. He's going to ask a lot of the questions that we can't answer, or he will put Q&A questions.
Thank you, and by the way, I know those only in Japan.
Well,
But first of all, I will just say it's an honor to have to be here with both of you. And if you guys want to start lining up, we can open it up to questions from the audience. So let's do that. While we're doing that, you know, my first question, you know, you're both, I think you're part of a franchise that will live longer than all of us in this room will be alive. How do you feel about that?
well, I just think we're very fortunate to have been part of history. I think, you know, people call things iconic. When my boys were little, when someone said to one of my boys, he said that you're iconic. I said, yes, and if you don't behave, you'll be going to bed in 5 minutes. You could use that. But I think we're both very fortunate to be part of history.
Well, it's something you realise what's going on, and half the time you can't believe exactly that there are hundreds, if not thousands, of people waiting to get your autograph, talk to you. So, you know, it's a really wonderful experience, something that changes your life. It certainly did with me. You know, you change your life and just, okay, yeah, I'm going to do this, that character's there, and let's get, you know, let's make the character exactly what you want to make it. So if you do research by the fans, they can change, you know, they have an interesting way of changing people's minds. You know, when George was asking sort of what you want to see from a Wookiee, you know, they got the feedback, and luckily there was nothing to be changed. So I was fortunate.
Jedi mind trick. So,
Thank you. First question.
Okay, it's actually too with the false behavior. Did they have to bring you back to do Boba Fett over again when they went to HD?
no, when it changed, not changed, someone else stood in for me very briefly in a shop because I had to go to the theatre and I was performing in a play. Then someone else, well, there was a picture of me when they changed it again, and I was taken out of one piece of film and put in next to Jabba the Hutt when he was a human. So there were lots of little bits that George put in after the major films when they came out. He did other bits that he wanted to put in. Some I agreed with, like Cloud City opening up. Some I didn't. I don't think you need to touch again.
But look, you know, Cloud City made a hell of a difference.
Yeah.
You know, rather than just being a a pan with people living on it. Once you open the windows, you saw all the transport and all the ships and stuff floating around. It made it almost human within, that. Because the other one is the west is the cantina in Mos Eisley, and the outer shots on that were totally different from the original, but they were in George's concept anyway. And he always said that you're never going to finish a film. There's always other things that you can do to it.
And the other one is, did they use you to double up for the other monkeys in 1, 2, and 3?
No. In 3, they found a basketball team. None of them were big enough. I was still the biggest one. But what they did, they looped all the Chewie stuff from the from the original series, and while they were training, while they were being fitted for their costumes, they studied this to see how a Wookiee walks and a Wookiee works. So I wasn't actually indirectly with them, but what they saw on screen made a difference to their performances.
Good.
Next question.
You know, I was telling you, man, I am just biggest fan of yours since I was like, this is so small. I remember going to see every single one of your movies in a movie theater, and you have no idea how many times I had to clean the house to do it.
Next.
Yo, Pete, I'm gonna tell you, man, you look beautiful this year. I'm ready to see you on the feet, man. And I just want to tell you that, dude, I'm just so love you, man. I always loved you. You are the best man in the world. The best bounty hunter ever. I just want to ask you a question, though. Did they ever let it on that everybody was your clone?
Well, I think, it's a good question, and that performance is almost equal to my performance.
I love you so much, dude!
I thought you were giving him lessons earlier.
So could you ask the question in slower way?
I'll repeat it.
Yo, man, did they ask you that when you were being Boba Fett?
Of the clone?
Yes, being Boba Fett. Did they ever lead you on that all the clone troopers?
Well, you see, the thing, when I thought I was a human being. I was told in Empire Strikes Back he's a human being, he's a deadly bounty hunter, and people have to watch out. And I think it's a shame in a way. I think it's great that he had a storyline in the newer films, but I don't think you should ever have seen Boba Fett's face. That's something you should never do, because you don't know what's going on. Also, to make him a clone, there's hundreds. It's just individual. It should be individual. No, but that's my own feeling. I can understand why George did it, why he decided. And it's good that there's a background story. But in a way, I think it would be better to just keep it. Today, we'd be talking about the film. What's he look like? Who is he? Where's he from? All the time.
Oh, and since you answered that, how do you personally feel as if you yourself had your own clone army?
Well, I have one arm that's clone, this one. It goes at quite a pace.
And Pete,
Hold on 1 second. I just want to say, please welcome Nick Gillard.
Yeah, man, thank you so much for everything you've done too, man. I was going to take these biggest fast stuff. If security threw me out, I swear to God, dude.
Thank you, but we have to get to the next question.
So I tell you, man, I love you guys. Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Why did I know it would be the one with the green hair? Why did I know that? Okay, next question.
So I'm pretty sure like everyone in here like has the same opinion on this, but I just want to hear from you guys. Who shot first?
because he was preparing the Falcon
I just
to
figured
take
you
off.
would have known him better than anyone else.
Well, some of the time he went out without bullets in the laser gun. so that he can avoid subjects like this. But it does make an interesting conversation. I don't know.
Thank you.
Nick,
Next question.
what do you think?
I wasn't there, but I would always shoot first.
Was there a particular movie that was your favorite to film? What was the most enjoyable film for you to actually be part of?
It has to be Empire Strikes Back. Mainly because no, I think Empire Strikes Back had everything you wanted. Perfect film.
Yeah, I'm afraid I've got to agree with my friend. Empire was the actual best movie of sci-fi for a long, long time. Purely because I think it was directed by Gershner, Irving Gershner, who knew what he was doing, knew what he wanted. With the backing of George, he got what he wanted. You know, I don't know whether he was good at stunts, but
For me, it was Sleepy Hollow.
It's funny, people ask me, they say, why have you got so few lines when I'm doing a theatre play? Why have you got so few lines? I said, well, that's the way he is, he's silent. I tried to put that across. And in one scene, I had to take Han Solo in Carbonite up into Slave One and say,
Put Captain Solo in the cargo.
well, on the day, I said, right, everyone stand by. I turned to the Imperial officer and said,
Put Captain Cargo in the solo.
I had 4 lines. I thought, I can't say. And then I suddenly realised you can't hear me. You're I kept saying Humpty Dumpty Sat. No one would know. But that was embarrassing. In the evening, I was in a play where I didn't stop speaking for 2 hours, and I can't. As soon as I put the helmet on, anything. Sorry, I interrupted.
Next question.
How much did you enjoy being Boba Fett?
I tell you what I enjoyed by being Boba Fett. That's a good question because the very first day of filming that I had, I was coming on to meet George Lucas for the first time in the costume to see if it looked good. And I walked out there and George looked, just about to see him. And he was walking around, he said, yes, he was touching the clothing, and then he said this, okay. Well, welcome aboard, Jeremy. It's not a big role, but we'd love to have you on the film. I thought, he hasn't asked me to read. Well, maybe that was probably a good thing. But but that was it, that exciting moment that I was going to, I knew it was a small part, but that first day, because the costume looked good, and he just nodded his head and smiled, and that was it. Here we
Thank
go.
you.
Thanks.
Very good question, young man.
This is a question for Mr. Gillard. It seemed to me when you were doing a lot of choreography for the prequels that you based a lot of the, particularly the blaster bolt deflections, on use of the Chinese weapon, the Dao. I was wondering if you based any of your choreography as well on the use of the Chinese weapon, the GM.
I wish I knew what that was. Give you a better answer. I figured that they were using a sword in a universe with laser guns, so they would have studied every style there was. So not just swords, any kind of movement, any kind of dance. I just kind of amalgamated everything I've learned. I don't know what that style is. But when you're a young stuntman in England working on movies, you learn all kinds of little bits and pieces. And so I used everything that I knew, and then I looked at a lot of the classic styles and movies, that was mostly kendo. The stance was mostly kendo.
Thank you.
Hi, big fan. And I actually just heard that George Lucas is retiring to his garage to make private films. Any opinion on that? And the second question is, have you ever seen the Red Letter Media review of episode 1, where it's about like 2 hours long? Kind of hilarious.
Well, George Lucas is in his garage as we speak, and I shouldn't be saying this, but I've got the lead part in his next film.
Yeah, I heard he was looking for a new mechanic. George's office, or George's garage. 10,000 square feet. Home fire station. He has got the biggest, best garage that I've seen for a long time. Yeah.
Does this mean to say that we can say that you are starring in his new movie? Mr. Mayhew, could you write this down to the show?
I quote for your villain is that we'll keep that back. We'll keep that back.
The Wookiees are back, ladies and gentlemen. That's great. Anybody else in it?
You never believe what you read in the newspaper.
Anybody else in it?
Yeah, Terry's in it.
I am serious.
Maybe you don't know what a kendo is.
I know what kendo is. And I've been to his private garage, and not at the ranch, at his house. And last time I was there, he said, "Look what I just bought for Christmas." He pressed the button, and 2 of the doors came on. There was a yellow Ferrari and a red Ferrari, and there's not much room to make a movie full of Ferraris.
So he shipped them back to Italy and carried on and started making Star Wars. He read that the Vulcan was part of the Ferrari.
What was it about the Red Wings? Is that...
The Red Letter Media, it's Mr. Plinkett's reviews. It's about a 2-hour-and-a-half review of the episode 1. That's only about an hour-and-a-half movie.
Is it good?
It's hilarious. But he comes to the point and he just described in detail how it wasn't as good as the original. Well, thank you.
By the way, before we get to the next question, if anybody else has questions, please feel free to line up again. So, going. No, not you, Breezy. I got you.
I'm honored to be here. Were you guys allowed to keep your costumes after the filming?
Otherwise, it would have been on eBay the next week. But unfortunately, no, I never got anything. But looking at it again, who wants a furry costume? Yeah, well, I told security to come and get you.
They're on their way.
No, the fur coat's different to Wookiee.
Well, I would love to have had the suit just as a memento, but I do have a replica suit made by the Denton helmet for the guys who make the costumes, and it's terrific detail and much lighter. The jetpack is 5 or 6 pounds rather than the 30 pounds that I carry on my back. We feel more sorry. I'd love to have had it. If I'd been asleep, I would have taken it. Last day I was running in a bag, gone.
Have you ever just randomly worn it for the hell of it?
I had a costume. It was one day on the set when they let the handmaidens go early. And they were looking for skinny girls. And so I was one of the skinniest. So of course I kept that costume. I wear it private.
I've been arrested several times.
That's going to get damage to thank you later. Together.
Thank you.
Next question, please.
Before my question, I'd like to thank each of you for taking the time and coming to these conventions. It means a lot to the bands. My question is, for Star Wars films that each of you partook in, which were your favorite scenes to play or that you have part of?
My favourite scene is my first day, and I think it's always you're a little bit nervous, although I'm not a nervous person, but that very first day when Darth Vader comes and says, "No disintegrations," and I just said, "As you wish." And not as well as that, but that first thing, they had the bounty hunters, we knew something was off, and it just had the whole atmosphere in there was just right. That was my favourite.
I think mine would be probably the chess game. Because you imagine the set about the size of this room. We are over one corner playing chess, and each other in that corner. Luke and Alec are playing basketball with their lightsabers. So you've got an enormous amount of cameras. You've got 8, 9 cameras. If we start, we rehearsal, well then, okay, let's get it going. So, and I said, before this happened, I said to one of the hands, I've never played chess before. We shot film, and there's nothing on the chessboard. What are you going to do? It's all right, don't worry about it. We will put it on our rules. So if you imagine going through all that scenery, or all the lines, and not knowing exactly what was going on. So that was when the stretch arms were raised and came. I thought, well, you're sitting there, you've got to do something. So that was when that quote, "Let the Wookiee went right the way around the working crew on that particular movie. Yeah, let the Wookiee went. It's there, occasionally you'll meet other, meet some of the guys, depending what you're doing, and they were all, that is the quote, let the Wookiee win, and you know who they are, where they, what movies they were on. So, interesting.
Could you just do the noise again for us?
Well, if that's not good enough for you, it's good enough for George.
For me, it was Phantom Menace and the fight between Maul and Obi-Wan, which is the first fight I wrote, and it was like sort of set that style, but still when you're shooting, you're never sure if you're going to pull it off or it's going to work. It's a tough little set there, it's been holding all of it. But yeah, at the end of that day when I realised that style of fighting was going to work was a good day.
Thank you.
Thanks for the question.
Next question, please.
Hi, this is actually a non-Star Wars question for Mr. Gillard. I just learned today that you performed the role of the Alien Queen in Aliens. I was wondering if you could talk about that a little bit, what it was like working with James Cameron in the school movie.
Yeah.
Sorry, we haven't got time for that.
Sorry, that was my bad.
The reason it fell to me, to a stunt guy, was it was incredibly claustrophobic. You had to lay in it. It was on a mechanical arm. I was only operating the arms to fight with the pallet loader. But you had to lay into this fiberglass thing they made for you, and then they folded you in, which took like half an hour, and you could actually only move your mouth like that. And that was the only movement you had in there. And you'd do like 2 hours in there. But there was one time, there's a tiny hole I can see out, and I could pissed off in there. And I had my arms down, and I then had 2 ski poles that went for the elbows. And they were drinking, James Cameron and my boss were drinking tea one day, and I could see them through this hole. And Cameron was going, "Yeah, a nice cup of tea, yeah." Smacked him with one of them. Knocked him all over it.
That is claustrophobic.
This is actually a question for Mr. Bulloch. I know you said that it was such a small part, you had such little screen time, but did you have any idea that your character was going to be as huge as it was? And was it a shock to you when it became such a big phenomenon?
I mean, it is, I mean, again, I turn around and say I'm terribly lucky. The costume, as soon as you see the costume, as an actor, if you want to go through the whole thing, walking in and putting it, getting it dressed on and looking in the mirror, and every morning I used to look at it for about a quarter hour, 20 minutes. And I said, I don't have to do anything here because just standing still is far more threatening than waving a gun around saying, look at me, I'm like a dangerous bounty hunter. Just stand still. And if you stare at someone for more than 2 minutes, they start getting quite uneasy. We used to do that on the set. We used to just look at something. You then go, oh, just move away. So I was lucky I had the perfect costume to portray. Thanks.
Thank you. Next question.
Hi. Thank you all again for coming to this area this weekend.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. This is for Mr. Mayhew. How difficult was it working in that suit for long periods of time? I mean, all that fur, it had to be hot, sweaty, and everything else.
The point is, you don't work in it for that long a period. As soon as you get the shots or a particular scene, and no scene is longer than, what, 15, 20 minutes is maximum. A for cost, B for people in other costumes that were far worse than mine. And looking at that costume, there's a baby zip down the back. So you take the head off, unzip it, pull your arms out, and cool down, get an ice pack, go to the toilet, then back. So it wasn't that bad, but it was hard because it was like wearing winter clothes in the summertime in Florida. I think I lost about 20 pounds. I was only 40 pounds when we were doing it, but it's what you got used to, and you just went on, did it on. The only place that I was up in your way when we were doing the hot scene, and because I had 3 layers of clothing, and we're out on the snow, and George says, "You don't look very snowy. You better get some snow on you." So I rolled over, got about 300 pounds of snow on her. He said, "Don't overdo it." So we shot the scene, got it, and went back to the other hut for changing and things like this. Went back, little did I realize that the hut was about 5 degrees above freezing. What happens when you put working air into a microwave, basically? All the water, all the ice turns to water. Took it off, and it felt like 50 pounds of horrible, yeah, exactly, wet dog. And it was wonderful to get out of it and put some clean, dry clothes on. But that was, that was one of the advantages of it. But all in all, it wasn't bad, considering the results. It was pretty good. I enjoyed it.
Results were amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next question, please.
I have 2 questions. They're related. Boba Fett is, in the movie, appears to have died in the Sarlacc pit. And later, find out this way he lives. Firstly, Chewbacca lives in the series, but later on in the expanded universe, he dies. So, first, how did you feel about your character's resurrection? And firstly, how did you feel about your character's passing?
Well, I think it's great that you've got Boba Fett, the story in this is now talking, does he get out of the Sarlacc pit? Perhaps he did. Well, at the moment, we're sort of 35 years he's in the Sarlacc pit. And he's quite clever because other bounty hunters fall into that trap of the Sarlacc pit, so he gets money off them. He has to be able to afford to get out. Then there are all these bounty hunters fall in, he gets money off them, and he's built a Hooters restaurant. Makes money. And it's the advert outside the Sarlacc pit, you can see Hooters just clicking on and on. So obviously it's quite a fact, but he's not. But he's clever. So he's all right for a few more thousand years. Thanks for the question.
You're referencing Doris Chewie, but
okay.
I've talked to him. The job, it's okay. We both know what we're doing. We seem to have been able to encourage the fans not to want to kill him. I've got a book, one of his originals, and in the middle, on the front page, it's got, sorry mate, I had to do it, someone had to do it. So, but luckily that does not affect any of the movies. Oh, and if it does, it takes 2 asteroids to kill it. It's a pretty hard job. We've sorted it out, and we're best friends.
Hello, thank you for, first off, thank you for all that you've done for the art and for providing actors in the future a wonderful example on how to act. I have 2 questions for you, one for all of you and one for, and I apologize for mispronouncing your last name, is it Girardi?
Gillard.
He sells ice cream.
The first one is, on today's movies, especially action movies, you have it where directors are sending cast members, both main cast and supporting actors, to training outfits to learn whether it be soldiers or aliens or whatever. How much different do you think your guys' role would have been if you had sort of the extensive training that actors get today in these movies?
Well, if I had to have, if I was rushing about doing lots, I would ask Nick, and he thinks I'm having a joke, but he is one of the best in England, and I would go to him and say, look, could you recover the world? All right. So I would ask Nick, say, look, how much do you want? $5 quid, a couple of dollars. Teach me how to do this particular movie, so I've become absolutely, because you rely on timing. And if someone's slightly off, then it's not really good. He's the best. It's a pint of beer later on the hotel, right?
Having, no disrespect to Nick, but having seen somebody older
Can't be anyone older. There can't be anyone older.
Well, there are, but having watched them and also seeing what Nick does, it's a skill that you can't learn it there. And watching you in the demonstration room, it's pure magic, because you were smiling, you were having fun, and you were sitting there or standing there watching these guys swinging their bamboo poles, and you think, they're probably the best. He said, well, I've had some jobs, but this one probably is the best one I've ever had. So, that's it.
And the second question is, and this is why I said you go through maybe more towards choreography. One of the more recent trends in films is the found footage genre. How much different do you think the Star Wars film trilogy would be if it was a found footage film series?
You mean what doesn't make the movie? You mean or the edit?
Well, the choreography of...
I understand what you're saying, I think. I don't, yes, it's very different, okay, what I deliver and what ends up are two different things. However, I don't see myself any different as a jobbing carpenter, and if you hire me to build you a kitchen, I'll build it how you want it. I'll give you the thing, and now whatever you do with it after that is up to you. So I write those fights, or I stage those fights how I think they should look. I deliver them to George. He cuts them how he wants his movie, his universe. It's up to him how he cuts it. No, I just deliver the looks. But yeah, there is loads of other footage. There's loads of scenes that have been switched around or bits that are missing. Yeah, I have in my rehearsal tapes. I have them all in sync and in order. Of course, I like those more, but that's my opinion. I'm not the director.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
We have a few more questions, but just so you guys know, we have about a little less than 10 minutes left. So, oh God,
Get rid of the green thing.
Anyway, go ahead, Owen.
Thank you again for taking the time to answer all of our questions. Mine is more of a two-part question for Peter and Jeremy. You may have already answered this, but is there anything you would have liked your characters to either have done or not done? Like, I agree with you 100,000% as far as never should have seen Boba Fett's face. I agree with you wholeheartedly on that. Should have remained a mystery. But is there anything other than that, and obviously Peter, is your character you wish would have done or even suggested to George if he basically put a nix on it? And for Nick, is there any fight sequence or you would have liked to have done and he basically told you no?
It's a lot. When you do Star Wars, it's a very efficient movie to work on. You might do a Ridley Scott movie and you might get 2 shots a day. On Star Wars, you can get 100 shots a day because it's so efficient. It's how he works it out, how he shoots it. We did a fight with 6 Darth Mauls, effectively. Obi-Wan versus 6 guys with double-ended lightsabers. And it was a beautiful thing. It took me 3 weeks to do this fight. And then when we got there, because of what had gone on that day, we just didn't have time. He said, I'll tell you what, they come in, he goes like that, he uses the force, he drops a container on them all. You're like, oh, it was the best fight I ever did.
I don't think there is much that you can do with Chewie, because basically he's a mind character, but he also understands. And to change him, to put a voice on, I don't think it would look very good to have Chewie as an English actor with, hello, my name is Jeremy Bulloch. I play Boba Fett. So, but, no, I don't think there is much that would change. Mind you, I think a few changes for him, but we haven't got that much longer. So,
well, most people know here that I have the Wookiee scalp over my shoulder.
Yeah, well, that can be changed.
Not in my script. Yeah, but if I would change a little bit. I would have more screen time if it's up to me. I think a little bit more. Just to push it. I'm sorry, I'm having trouble with it. Yes.
First, forgive my Star Trek shirt.
Yeah.
My question is for Peter. How many of Chewie's vocalizations were yours, and how many were post-production by
effects. They used a bear and a dog. They went down to San Diego, found a bear being fed in the zoo, recorded it when it was happy, recorded it when it was sad, used that with a combination of dog for the original trilogy. When it came to Clone Wars, I've been doing a lot of conventions which had maps. We've been doing panels with him, and I've been going, and talk about that penny turning up. I get a phone call from Matt. Oh, we want you down. We want you in Skywalker because we're doing the Clone Wars cartoon series. We would like you to do the voice. I said, well, can you get me on the plane? You know, because that was sort of, we went down, saw what the artist had done, and made sure that everything was right. And then we went into the sound stage, and 30 minutes later, all the stuff that you hear, which was mine, was in and had Dave Filoni's approval, knowing what George wanted out of it. So I feel quite happy and quite honoured to be able to say that Chewie is almost 100% mine. My character, the rest is history.
Okay. We're going to have to wrap it up.
We waited so patiently, but we have to make it quick. We're 3 minutes
one more,
over.
yeah, very quick. No, one more quick question. I was making a joke. One more question.
Real quick, I'm gonna tell you, Nick, I'm a big fan of your work. What would you think have you, or what would you think of a Star Wars zombie crossover? I'd love to see your work, and I can see Jeremy as you an awesome zombie killer, but me, I can only see you as a zombie killer. And of course, you're at Comic-Con. But you got, besides Star Wars, let me know, what is your favorite comic character?